Breaking news this Friday night. The investigation into a heinous crime. The Alberta father accused of murdering his 2 young children. Anxiety at the gas pumps. Prices soar to near record levels.
I never dreamed this price happened.
As the U.S. president explains why he doesn't need congressional approval to continue his war on Iran. Protecting passenger rights. Ottawa's new move aimed at punishing airlines that keep breaking the rules. The investigation into the posting of a voters list, what Elections Alberta says happened, and why this woman disputes that.
I know very well that that timeline is not correct.
Plus, Banksy does it again.
It really fits the vibe here.
His newest masterpiece that has London all abuzz.
Global National. Reporting tonight, Colleen Christie.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with breaking news out of Calgary. A man has been charged with first-degree murder after the bodies of his 2 children were found inside his vehicle Thursday morning.
This is a devastating and unimaginable loss. Incidents of this magnitude have a profound and lasting impact, not only on the families and the community, but also on the officers and the first responders.
The 37-year-old suspect appeared in court today. Police say he is the father of the victims, a 5-year-old boy and a 3-year-old girl. They're believed to have been killed on Wednesday, the night before their discovery. Authorities say the accused called 911, leading police to the SUV where the children's bodies were found, and confessed to the crime. He was arrested at the scene. The man and the children's mother are known to police from a history of domestic calls. The suspect and victim's identity remain under a publication ban. As we head into the weekend, more pain at the pumps with yet another price hike today after global oil prices reached a 4-year high, all linked to the conflict in the Middle East. Before the Iran war began in February, Brent crude was trading at around $70 US a barrel. Today, it's up 50% to around $108. America's benchmark of West Texas Intermediate seeing a similar increase, going from over $60 US a barrel to around $102 today. The Canadian government scrapped the federal fuel excise tax, but as Heidi Petracek explains, the relief has been brief, and experts are warning prices are likely to keep rising.
Gas prices were up before the sun in Toronto, jumping another 8 cents.
More, like everything.
I never dreamed this price happened.
We're all heading towards what was record territory in the case of most of the country.
Drivers in Vancouver are paying the most for gas as of Friday at $2.21.4 a litre. If you're looking for the best deal, best head to Olds, Alberta, where the price is lowest at $1.85.8. The national average at $1.87, up 16.5 cents from last week. The U.S.-Israeli attack on Iran and closure of the Strait of Hormuz is putting a chokehold on roughly a fifth of the world's oil and liquefied natural gas.
Even if that strait is opened like in an hour and a half from now, it'll take 2 months for anything to really be seen at the pump.
Last month's federal gas tax break reduced prices by 10 cents per litre, but the global supply shock means consumers aren't feeling much savings.
Suspend the GST and the second carbon tax, the clean fuel standard. If the provinces are to go along, that would be a savings of 28 cents a litre.
Although that would reduce government revenue at a time of budget deficits. BC and Manitoba say they're looking at ways to help, as a recent poll finds Canadians are worried.
So they're driving less. That's the biggest change in behavior. They're trying to plan trips, go on shorter trips.
Although some have no choice, like taxi drivers.
If somebody makes $100, you're looking at least about $33 just for the gas.
And farmers.
Adding that problem on top of all the other problems could really mean if they make profit or not.
With no clear end in sight to the conflict that's causing it all, motorists can only watch the numbers change, waiting to see just how high they go. Heidi Petracek, Global News, Halifax.
U.S. President Donald Trump says he's not happy with Iran's latest proposal to end the war. He didn't elaborate, but suggested Iran may never strike a deal. Today marks 60 days since the U.S. and Israel launched airstrikes on Iran, a deadline to get congressional approval to continue fighting the war. But that hasn't happened, raising questions about whether it's legal. And as Heather Yourex-West reports, there are differing opinions on how to proceed.
The U.S. president says he will not be seeking congressional approval to continue the U.S. and Israeli war with Iran, as the 60-day war powers deadline was marked.
No other country has ever done it. It's never been, as you know, most people consider it totally unconstitutional. Also, we had a ceasefire, so that gives you additional time.
That 60-day deadline comes from a statute established during the Vietnam War, requiring the president either end the war or seek congressional authorization to extend it. But Trump officials, including Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, maintain that 60 days have not passed because a ceasefire has been in effect since early April.
We are in a ceasefire right now, which our understanding means the 60-day clock pauses or stops. I do not believe the statute would support that.
I think we're basically at a stalemate because the Iranians, have the advantage of geography. They control the Straits of Hormuz. They control shipping, and they can do it without actually having to lay thousands of mines.
While the president says negotiations with Iran continue, he says little progress is being made, and other options for how to proceed in the region are being discussed.
I mean, do we want to go and just blast the hell out of them and finish him forever, or do we want to try and make a deal? I mean, those are the options.
Do you want to go blast the hell out of him?
I'd prefer not. On a human basis, I'd prefer not.
As the conflict continues to drive up costs across the U.S., new polling has revealed how deeply unpopular this war has become, with 61% of Americans saying they believe the use of military force against Iran was a mistake. Colleen?
Heather Yourex-West in Washington. Thanks, Heather. The federal government is ramping up penalties on airlines that breach air passenger protection regulations meant to compensate travelers for delays and cancellations within an airline's control. Transport Minister Stephen McKinnon announced that fines for repeat violators are being quadrupled from $250,000 to $1 million. As Jillian Piper reports, this comes as the government tries to clear a backlog of tens of thousands of passenger complaints.
It's been stressful and it's taken a lot of time and energy.
Jennifer Milojevic has been waiting 3 years for answers.
It's such a frustrating process to go through and extremely tedious.
Milojevic filed a complaint against Air Canada after a delayed departure left her stranded in Vancouver for 4 days, with no help from the airline, leaving her family to pay for their hotels and meals all out of pocket.
They sent us a voucher for $300 as compensation for all the trouble and the time that we were delayed. We didn't want to accept that.
The federal government promising to help Milojevic and the 97,000 other Canadians with similar stories by hiring a private company to clear the air passenger complaints backlog currently adjudicated by a government tribunal.
We put in place a system that, in hindsight, was onerous, expensive, took too long.
The Liberals say repeat airline offenders will soon face an increased maximum penalty of $1 million, but Canada's biggest airline seemingly isn't concerned. Air Canada has never been fined for a systemic issue, which is the stated intent of the new maximum fine. We have a very strong regulatory compliance culture and record.
It's important to underscore that financial penalties are a last resort.
The passenger protections the Liberals now say need fixing, they first implemented in 2019 and updated in 2023. The rules will again be simplified, according to Steve McKinnon, but with no timeline for those changes, air passenger rights advocates are concerned these are empty promises.
If they wanted to make a change immediately, they could. Canadians have waited for way too long to have this issue resolved.
While the Liberals are proposing a major hike to airline fines, no one seems to know when it could be used, Colleen. Global News reached out to the Canadian Transportation Agency, who pointed us to the Transport Minister. When we asked Stephen McKinnon, he pointed us right back to the Transportation Agency.
Jillian Piper in Ottawa. Thanks, Jillian. Questions are being raised tonight around the timeline of that suspected voter list leak in Alberta. Millions of names and home addresses were allegedly posted online by a separatist group. Yesterday, the Centurion Project was ordered to remove its database from its website. But as Jasmine King reports, it appears the possible violation was flagged more than a month ago.
Jen Gerson is frustrated. Her complaint has been seemingly forgotten about by Elections Alberta.
They started their timeline April 27th. And I think that just made me very angry because I know very well that timeline is not correct.
Gerson submitted the tip to Elections Alberta about the Centurion Project's new website on March 31st. The pro-Alberta independence group planned to use a searchable database that listed names, addresses, and electoral districts of voters in the last provincial election. The agency told Gerson on April 10th, with the evidence currently available, there are not reasonable grounds to direct an investigation. On Thursday, Elections Alberta publicly stated it was given credible information on April 27th.
If someone issues them a complaint, the next step ought to be that they investigate the complaint to find out whether or not there are quote-unquote reasonable grounds that a crime's been committed.
Elections Alberta told Global News changes to legislation in 2025 added a reasonable grounds provision to start investigations. Alberta's Criminal Trial Lawyers Association says although investigations take time, this private information was available for anyone to see.
It's not phone book stuff. And typically the phone book didn't have your address in it, right? Like it might have your phone number. It doesn't have your home location.
For agencies that support people fleeing domestic violence or dangerous situations, they say the situation is terrifying and that more needs to be done to protect this information.
Well, that's all fine and dandy that they're doing their investigation and, they've taken it down and they're doing the steps that they need to do. But what about all of the women whose information was, been able to be accessed?
Premier Danielle Smith says protecting the personal information of Albertans is of the utmost importance, and those responsible for any breach should be held accountable under the law. The Centurion Project says it did nothing wrong and used public information. For Gerson, she says this data was out 30 days longer than it needed to be.
I'm upset that the Centurion Project was, to my mind, irresponsible. I'm furious that Elections Alberta has tried to cover this up.
The group petitioning for Alberta independence says they aren't involved with the Centurion Project and don't agree with posting personal information publicly. It comes as they are set to submit their signatures to Elections Alberta on Saturday. Jasmine King, Global News, Edmonton.
2 Ontario officers will stand trial in a deadly crash involving a police chase going the wrong way down Canada's busiest highway. In 2024, 4 people died, including 2 grandparents and their infant grandchild. Police were pursuing a robbery suspect driving at high speeds towards oncoming traffic on Highway 401. A court ruled there is enough evidence that a jury could find the officers were a contributing cause of death. 6 vehicles were involved in the crash. The officers faced charges of criminal negligence causing death and criminal negligence causing bodily harm. Riots erupt in Australia, coming up. What this angry crowd says should happen to an accused murderer. Plus, what protesters in the Philippines are calling for on this International Day for Workers' Rights. And the subversive statue that's the talk of London with Banksy's fingerprints all over it. British police have now charged a man suspected of Wednesday's stabbing attack in London that sent 2 Jewish men to hospital. 45-year-old Essa Suleiman appeared in court today. He faces 2 counts of attempted murder and another count related to a different incident earlier that same day. He's a British national born in Somalia. Police say he has a history of violence and mental health issues and was previously referred to an anti-radicalization program for vulnerable people. The attack is being investigated as a suspected terrorist incident. Police fired rubber bullets and tear gas into a large crowd outside a hospital in a remote town in central Australia. Inside, a man accused of killing a 5-year-old girl was being treated. Protesters demanded the man face payback under local Indigenous customs. Authorities say the 47-year-old man was brought to hospital after being beaten by locals. He's under arrest, and police are calling for calm and appealing to communities to allow the legal process to take its course. Workers in the Philippines rushed at police on this May Day, a global day for workers' rights. Demonstrators want the minimum wage to be nearly doubled, saying the Middle East conflict is sending prices soaring. There were rallies around the globe, including in Cuba, where former leader Raul Castro made a rare public appearance. The 94-year-old son and grandson have been in talks with the U.S. to resolve an oil blockade and reform Cuba's economy. I had World Cup woes. Who wins when international sport is mixed with international politics? The federal government has earmarked nearly $10 million to help Canada Soccer build a national training centre.
We have 68 national sport organizations in Canada, and none of them have a single dedicated sport training facility.
The $10 million is part of a larger $755 million investment in sport announced in this week's spring economic update. It's unclear where the new training centre will be located. Canada Soccer says it has received 18 submissions from across the country. Many of the most powerful people in the world of soccer gathered in Vancouver this week for the annual FIFA Congress, where it was announced that Iran would play its games in the U.S. despite the ongoing war. But the Iranian representative didn't hear the news in person, as he'd been blocked from entering Canada. Eric Sorensen explains why and how the pitch and politics are tightly intertwined.
Canada, and welcome as well.
Good luck trying to grasp World Cup geopolitics.
India, present.
At Thursday's FIFA roll call, just one country was missing.
Islamic Republic of Iran, absent.
Absent because Ottawa blocked the representative linked to Iran's terrorist-designated Revolutionary Guard. That he almost got into Canada caused a firestorm in Ottawa.
An actual terrorist get a special permit to land in this country.
In Washington, the U.S. president was asked about the entire Iranian team coming to the U.S.
I think let him play. Right?
Donald Trump may be waging war on Iran, but it seems he has a soft spot for FIFA's president.
Johnny's fantastic, he's a friend of mine, and he talked about it. I said, you do whatever you want.
The FIFA Peace Prize.
That's the same Gianni Infantino who gave Trump the first FIFA Peace Prize weeks before the war in Iran began. For Infantino, the World Cup should be above politics.
And of course, Iran will play in the United States of America. The reason for that is very simple, dear friends, is because we have to unite. Football unites the world, FIFA unites the world.
But outside the World Cup meeting, protesters accused those allowing Iran's team to play of whitewashing the brutality of the Iranian regime.
They're here to normalize what's happening in Iran, the massacre in Iran. So no, they should not be in the World Cup.
FIFA did ban Russia from this World Cup and the previous one for invading Ukraine. So FIFA is not entirely above politics.
Sports are politics by other means, and people who deny that obvious reality are either making money from the spectacle or they haven't thought about it that much.
Infantino also tried to coax the Palestinian representative to shake hands with his Israeli counterpart. He refused because of Israeli violence in Gaza and the West Bank.
I would go as far as to say that this is the most politicized World Cup that we've ever seen.
Gianni Infantino might not disagree.
These are, of course, as we know, very complex matters.
Eric Sorensen, Global News, Toronto.
Banksy strikes again. The statement a new sculpture makes and the questions surrounding it. Next.
So just go ahead and work for the next 12 hours. We get very busy.
No, this is not.
Yeah,
That's about it.
we have to physically be touching at all times.
The Artemis II crew on The Tonight Show last night is showing host Jimmy Fallon just how cramped it was on the Orion spacecraft during their 10-day mission around the moon. The astronauts shared more experiences from their historic journey. Canadian Jeremy Hansen spoke about how he'd never been to space before.
My first trip, so I was the liability.
Not true.
Was everyone looking at you like, oh, he's going to throw up, he's going to throw up, here he goes.
Yeah, we had a lot of conversations about that in the containment plan, but luckily, didn't need it, so it was great.
Yeah.
When asked who did the coolest thing in space, Mission Commander Reed Weissman pointed to Hansen, saying it was great to be there when Hansen used a washroom in space for the first time. A new statue in London is stopping people in their tracks. Overnight Wednesday, the latest work by elusive street artist Banksy was cleverly erected in the heart of the city. As Redmond Shannon reports, the statue has Londoners and tourists wondering what happens with the artwork now.
Between Florence Nightingale and Edward VII is another imposing statue, a subject for artists with a 5-star rating on Google Maps. But this has been here less than 3 days. the subversive statue by the elusive Banksy. Somehow installed in the early hours of Wednesday in the heart of London without permission or any intervention.
It's the middle of St. James, and wow, I don't know how he's done it, but fair enough. But then again, it's Banksy, so we've learned not to be surprised by everything he does.
Banksy admirer Afzal felt he had to come see the statue.
With his chest puffed out, walking under no vision because he's blinded by his own flag. And it speaks to the blind nationalism that has led so many nations off of essentially a cliff edge.
As ever with a Banksy, the question is, what happens next? The local council says it can stay for now until they can figure out what to do with it.
It should be left. I think it should be freedom of expression should be left. Exactly, because it's not. It's nothing derogatory. There is nothing wrong with that.
Brendan Large-Leliev is a Canadian living in London.
And I sure hope they keep it, because not only does it look amazing, but it really fits the vibe here. And last time I went to saw the one at the Court of Justice, and they painted that one over. So yeah, it was a little bit of a disappointment.
Part of Banksy's allure is the mystery. This year a news article claimed to reveal his real identity. Artist Kath Tate says she'd rather stay in the dark.
I know people who know him anyway, so I could find out if I wanted to, but it's what he's doing that matters rather than who he is. That's more important.
Redmond Shannon, Global News, London.
So cool. That's Global National for this Friday night. I'm Colleen Christie. Tonight's Your Canada is this patriotic sign lighting up a street in Windsor, Ontario. We love seeing Your Canada. Please email your photos to globalnational@globalnews.ca. Thanks for watching. Hope you'll join us again tomorrow. Have a good night.